Hey there, everybody. It is Monday, October 24th, 2022. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Subway. Try the Subway Series menu, your pick of 12 irresistible subs. It's me, your man, MG Marcus Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and the specialists. Give yourselves a round of applause. Woo! Cast of dozens that help us put on this show each and every week. And we're pretty much at the halfway point now of the fantasy regular season. It has flown by, weirdly.
It has, and we're at the point of the year where, like, you have to be honest with your team and be like, I'm a contender and I need to build for the playoffs, or like, I need to do something quick to save my season.
That's pretty much it. At this point, you have to take an assessment of where you are and decide what your strategy is going to be for the next few weeks to come. We will help you along those lines. We'll do it with our biggest takeaways of the week, give you some waiver wire targets, especially this week. It's going to be important. Plus, we're going to have a little bit of some evaluation here. We kind of look at some players that are stock up or maybe stock down. But let's start with our fantasy headlines, and very important today because there are some notable injuries that took place on Sunday. The most notable being the confirmation of a torn ACL for Breece Hall, the rookie running back for the Jets, who had been playing so well the last few weeks. We were talking about him maybe being a league winner, and unfortunately, Florio, he is gone now, and I guess all things sort of turned to Michael Carter in that backfield.
Yeah, unfortunately, like 10 minutes before his injury, I tweeted that Breece Hall should be in the 101 conversation next season, and then this happened, and I mean, Michael Carter isn't going to give you what Breece Hall was giving you, but he can be close. And Michael Carter, I think, is someone that comes in and immediately is an RB2, and he'll have RB1 weeks because he should dominate the touches out of that Jets backfield. Now he's going to get a lot of targets. And Michael Carter is a very good running back in his own right. Like, I was very excited about him before they drafted Breece Hall. If he's on waivers, I don't think he's on a lot, but if he is, spend whatever you have to spend to get him.
I would imagine he is probably gone in most leagues. But like we always say, it's worth the look. Just go and troll the waiver wire, see if maybe he's out there. And if so, definitely put a claim in for him. If you have him, though, now you know that you have a running back who is stepping into a much bigger workload and going to have a whole lot more opportunity. But unfortunate news for Breece Hall. Wish him the best, and hopefully he's back ready to go sometime next season. In Detroit, we were excited to get Amon-Ra St. Brown back in. He had been banged up. The Lions had been off. And then he suffers a concussion in the first quarter of the game against the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, this, not much to say other than we're going to watch and kind of see what the protocol is going to be. I guess in the short term, if he can't go, more for Josh Reynolds potentially?
Yeah, I think Josh Reynolds and TJ Hawkinson would be the two big winners. Like, I know Khalif Raymond had a decent game this week, but I don't know about you. I wouldn't be wanting to do the Khalif Raymond thing.
Not sure I can trust Khalif Raymond, but we'll keep an eye on this as we go through the week and see if maybe St. Brown can clear protocol and be available for the Lions this week. Those are just a couple of the big injuries, but there were a slew of them that took place over the weekend, and Florio tweeted about some of them. You can get a list or get an idea of who made that list. I mean, you see there, we talked about Breece Hall. Chuba Hubbard suffered an ankle injury. Mike Boone, DK Metcalf, although the news on him a little more promising than we originally thought. Mike Williams, Alan Lazard, Corey Davis, Ryan Tannehill, David Njoku, Keenan Allen, who did start the game, but then they let him sit in the second half just sort of as a precaution there. It is just a rough go. We didn't have we didn't have a lot of weeks with a lot of injuries. This week it seemed like they all just happened at one time.
And it's a lot of very notable players. Like, even someone like Ryan Tannehill, who's not being started in a ton of fantasy leagues, he has a big effect, though, because there's other players on that offense that are. So, yeah, this week was the first. Like, every week we're like, oh, man, there's injuries, but this is the first one where it's like, look at all these guys who just are gone.
So many. And so the waiver wire going to be very important. We'll get you some waiver wire picks later in the show. But what we'll do right now is give you our biggest takeaways from Sunday. Between Mike and I, we picked out 5 things that we noticed. And what's the first one for you?
You cannot trust a Chiefs running back right now. Like, you just can't do it. We had a report before the game that Isaiah Pacheco was going to be the starter and CEH would have a role, and it might be Jerick McKinnon who suffers. And then Jerick McKinnon led them in snaps played. The carries went to Isaiah Pacheco. He led them with 8, but the touchdown went to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They all played somewhere between 29 and 40% of the snaps. None had double-digit touches. The leader was with 8. So I know the Chiefs are on bye next week, and then after that, people might be like, oh, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, look, he's scoring touchdowns. Like, nope, I want to stay as far away from this backfield as possible.
This whole thing felt like a troll from the beginning. That Isaiah Pacheco is going to be the starter. And nothing was untrue. Isaiah Pacheco was the starter. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a role. But nothing about that report suggested that Isaiah Pacheco was taking over the backfield. And I know everybody rushed out to get him. I saw people tweeting about how great life was going to be because they were able to snag him off of waivers before everybody else. And it just felt like we were sort of doomed to get this, and that's exactly what happened there. I'll keep the running back theme going by letting you know that Gus Edwards looks like he's back. And this was a week that I don't think anybody saw this coming. I still thought that Kenyon Drake was going to have a big role in the offense. Instead, Gus Edwards played 23 snaps. Of those 23 snaps, he had 16 carries and a target. So pretty much whenever he was on the field, they were giving him the football. It worked out against a bad Browns run defense. And yes, they're still working him in. He only played about 36% of the snaps. But Florio, the fact that every time he was on the field pretty much, they gave him the football suggests that they really want to work him in. And we're going to see more of him, I think, as he gets healthier.
Yeah, this was scary because I was, like you, expecting him to be limited because of injury. Not only was he not, but, like, he was getting used on the goal line. Like, they were just like, Gus, go loose. And I think Gus Edwards has, I don't know if I'd say league-winning upside, but, like, he can definitely push your team over the top.
Absolutely, and especially now with J.K. Dobbins on injured reserve, which means he's going to be out for a few weeks. I expect to see a lot of the Gus bus. What else did you learn from Sunday?
That you're going to want Daniel Jones on your fantasy roster. Not as, like, your QB1, but I think he's a very useful QB2. He was the quarterback 2 this week as of right now, scoring nearly 29 fantasy points. Only twice this year is he top 20, but he's shown a very safe floor. And what I like is that he's been rushing much more consistently this year. Just one game with less than 20 rushing yards, but in his last 4 games, 3 of them, he's rushed for over 60 yards. So, like, you're getting a lot more production there with his legs. He's even scored 3 rushing touchdowns in his last 4 games. And then putting it ahead a little bit, he gets Seattle next week, who we know is a very favorable matchup, then his bye week, then the Texans, then the Lions. So, like, 3 of the next 4 weeks, he's going to be a very useful streamer. And then in the fantasy play, or around the fantasy playoffs, he gets the Commanders twice. So, Daniel Jones, if you're one of these teams that doesn't have an elite quarterback, he's a great QB2 right now.
Makes me feel better about having him as my second quarterback in my 2 QB league. I just wish Russell Wilson was playing better. That would make that team
I have that same
better.
duo in the league, Russ and Daniel Jones.
I wish Russ was playing better. That would make things a lot easier. I was very encouraged by what I saw with the Cowboys in the sense of Dalton Schultz is startable again. That was not something we were able to say the last couple of weeks with Cooper Rush at quarterback. And yes, he did tweak his knee a little bit, although he says he's going to be fine. What I appreciate was that Dak Prescott was interested in getting him more involved, and he was getting 0 targets. When I say 0 targets, that's not hyperbole. He was getting 0 targets with Cooper Rush at quarterback. Now he's back on the radar. He's getting more opportunities. And yeah, the Cowboys didn't go put up a big number offensively on Sunday like we thought they would, but I'm just encouraged that Schultz is sort of back in our lives when we are struggling to stream tight ends. Look, Mark Andrews did 0. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show. But at least having Dalton Schultz back and knowing that he's startable again is a little bit of comfort for me.
Yeah, especially, I mean, tight end has been a bigger wasteland than we, especially like we're losing some now due to injury, like David Njoku. So useful to just have another one back in our lives.
Definitely. Last thing that you took away from Sunday.
The Atlanta Falcons are never going to throw the ball. Ever. Like, yesterday was the exact game script that I had hoped for when I said to start Kyle Pitts. They trailed from there was 2 minutes in this game, literally, where they were not trailing. There was 10 minutes in this game where they were not down multiple scores. They were down 3 touchdowns for much of it. They threw the ball 13 times. Like, I get it when you're in close games, even when you're winning, because as frustrating as it's been for fantasy managers, when we come in on Monday and we're like, all right, the Falcons won or they lost by a score. It's like, okay, they're doing what they have to do to be a competitive football team. When you're throwing the ball 13 times in a game that you're losing by more than 13, you just simply can't throw. And if you're a head coach starting a quarterback who you can't trust to throw the ball, what are we doing here? Like, Mariota needs to go. Arthur Smith needs to go. Like, this is just a wasteland right now.
It is coaching malpractice what they are doing down there. It absolutely is. I sort of joke that he's like Peter Gibbons from Office Space, who's just like, I don't like my job and I don't want to go anymore. I don't understand it. How it is, as you mentioned, in a game where they were trailing by multiple scores for most of the day, they have 8 completions. 8. So that means that Kyle Pitts isn't usable. That means Drake London isn't usable. The touchdown they had was a long throw to Damiere Byrd. Like, what are we doing here?
Even when they were on, like, literally, Kyle Pitts, they were throwing him in the red zone. There was one where they were on the 1-yard line, and Mariota threw it too short to be a touchdown. If you can't throw 1 yard, you shouldn't be a quarterback in the NFL.
Desmond Ridder, man. Maybe Desmond Ridder is on deck. That's all I can think. All right. We're going to take a break so we can cool off. We can cool off a little bit. We'll come back and we'll talk about some of the top performers for the week and some of the guys who let us down as well. Catching our breath here on the NFL Fantasy Football Show.
The NFL is headed to Germany for the first time, and you could get in on the action. We're sending one lucky fan plus 3 guests to Munich to watch Tom Brady and the Bucs take on DK Metcalf and the Seahawks.
Reaching up, making the catch.
Winning fans will enjoy a week in Munich that also features a Bayern Munich European football match. No purchase necessary. To enter and for rules, visit NFL.com/Munich sweepstakes.
I want to go to Munich. Anyway, these are the top performers from Week 7. Joe Burrow went berserk, nearly 40 fantasy points. Austin Eckler staying hot. He put up nearly 37. Jamar Chase, back-to-back good weeks, 33 points for him. George Kittle on National Tight End Day. He's your tight end 1 right now, 21.8 fantasy points. Jason Myers with 3 field goals. That tallied 15 points, and the Cowboys had themselves a day against the Lions, 22 fantasy points for their defense. But let's talk about a guy who didn't make that list but was just off of it, Kenneth Walker. Another big week for him, another week of dominating the snaps, and right now, I mean, you talk about potential league winners. Kenneth Walker has the look of a league winner.
Yeah, he really does. 168 rush yards yesterday, 2 touchdowns, almost 37 fantasy points. Like you said, he continues to dominate the snaps and all the work there. Like last week, we were like, he's pushing to be an RB1. I think now he's like firmly in the RB1 group. It's just a matter of how many running backs would you actually want over him.
It's a dwindling list, I think, at this point, because not many guys are getting the opportunity level that he is. And I'll tell you what, I mean, the rookie running back class, I mean, unfortunately, we've lost Breece Hall for the rest of the season, but he was playing well. Damian Pierce has been playing well. Kenneth Walker has been playing well. The rookie running backs are really showing out so far this year.
They've been everything we thought the receiver class would be.
Exactly what it is. It's exactly what's happened. For the most part, it was not a great day for tight ends for it to be National Tight End Day, but leave it to the founder of National Tight End Day to come through when we needed him. George Kittle, 6 catches, 98 yards and a touchdown, nearly 22 fantasy points. That was great. I think the more encouraging part is that it's 2 weeks in a row now that George Kittle has performed. So any of those fears we had early in the season, I won't say they're completely gone, but I think we can calm down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think George Kittle will be like Travis Kelce, where every single week he's giving us 15-plus fantasy points. But it's great to see that he still has this high ceiling. I think his floor is a little bit lower than it was in years past, just because there's more pieces around him. But seeing him do George Kittle-like things after the catch and stuff, it made me feel good. Like, I lost David Njoku in a league where I have George Kittle and I've been starting Njoku. Now I feel very confident to start Kittle moving forward.
I'm curious to see what this offense is going to be like and what his role will be once Christian McCaffrey gets fully up to speed. He played a little bit, McCaffrey did, but you can tell, I mean, he'd only been there for a couple of days, hadn't learned the whole playbook. Once he gets a little more comfortable, I'm curious, how that piece fits in and what that means for Kittle. But the last 2 weeks have certainly been very good. The Bucs are struggling as a team. They lose again on Sunday to the Carolina Panthers, of all teams. But Mike Evans continuing to play well, 9 for 96. And I feel like we take Mike Evans for granted because 9 for 96, you're like, ho-hum, but it's good, man. Like, I'll take this every week from him.
on 15 targets. You love to see that. And the thing, like, if you didn't watch the game, you might not have realized that, like, Mike Evans could have easily been the best player in fantasy this week. He dropped a wide open 67-yard touchdown pass. Like, he literally had it in his hands and then, like, literally threw the ball up in the air like he was playing keep the balloon off the ground. But I don't know what he was doing there. But, like, the volume is great. Seeing him do this even with Brady's struggle and then knowing that it could have been even bigger and better, I think you have to feel great about Mike Evans right now.
You know there are professional keep the balloon off the ground leagues?
I think I'd be decent at that.
Gonna, like, when I'm done, I will send you the YouTube link. I saw it. It's amazing. Like, they play in, like, a fake staged living room. It's wild. But there are professional leagues for it. Anyway, Mike Evans is good, and you should keep starting him. Nicole Hardman, every year at the beginning of the season, there's always somebody on fantasy Twitter who tries to make the case for Nicole Hardman. Nowadays, that person tends to get shouted down. We're like, no, it's not going to happen. It happened. This is like going to be just enough to keep the hive sort of buzzing a little bit, but this feels definitely like a one-off here.
Yeah, he's not going to do this every week where he rushes for a touchdown, catches 2 touchdowns. Like, that's just not going to happen, or the other way around, I mean. But I do think it's worth pointing out that he's top 12 fantasy points in 3 straight weeks. They're on bye next week, the Chiefs, so I don't think anyone's going to rush and spend a lot to get Nicole Hardman. So maybe you could just slip one past the goal. I don't think he's one that, like, a player you want to start every week, but he's shown that, like, in a pinch, you can get him in your lineup, and he does have a high ceiling.
I think another good news, though, we've had another good week from Juju SmithSchuster, and he's talking about how it took some time to sort of get on the same page with Patrick Mahomes and get comfortable. He does say that Call of Duty helped, that they played Call of Duty Warzone. It was him. It was Mahomes. It was Kelsey. I think Nicole Hardman was the fourth they had in there. He said they won several games in a row, and he says that helped team chemistry. And maybe it was MVS, but it was one of the other receivers they played, and he says it helped team chemistry, and somewhere Kyler Murray is taking
I was going to say, Kyler's been on to something this whole time, and the team is going against him.
Kyler's going to take those quotes and just slap them down on Cliff Kingsbury's desk and say, see?
The thing with Juju, and maybe this has to apply to more, I'm like, we saw so many, like, the more coaching changes, quarterback changes, player changes than ever before coming into this season. Maybe we've just been overreacting to early season stuff, and these players are just gelling.
Certainly very possible. That's definitely a conversation I think worth having at some point. So those are the guys who were good. Let's talk about the guys who were not good. Who was your biggest disappointment of the week?
The Pharaoh, the GOAT, Tom Brady, whatever you like to call him. He has not lived up to expectations for fantasy purposes. So far this year, he's only topped 15 fantasy points twice. It's been a bad year for Brady, and I'm doing a deep dive on him in my start-sit column. I've already started diving into him, and he has fewer time to throw, but that's kind of by design. He's getting just as much pressure with less blitz, so I think part of the fact is on the O-line, but we're just seeing Brady, I think, the first signs of decline. Like, his deep ball is not the same of what it has been in the past, and I know we're prone to believe that it's something else besides Brady because he's been doing it for 23 years. But at 45, it might just be like, hey, you don't have your fastball on the deep ball anymore.
Would not be the first person to see a decline happen after a certain point in his career. And things are not great there in Tampa. Brady has just one game this year with more than one touchdown pass. Oof. That's it. So it has just not been the same for him this season. Mark Andrews on National Tight End Day. We said there have been 2 tight ends that you could start and not worry about. It had been Travis Kelce, it had been Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews had 4 rushing yards. That was the only thing he produced fantasy-wise. Did not have a catch, just 2 targets, got you 0.4 fantasy points. And, yeah, sure, the Browns are sort of tough on tight ends, but 2 targets, no catches.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming at all.
No matter how good you are at tight ends, he's not your average tight end. You need to give him an opportunity.
You got to give him an opportunity. It did not happen. So that just, there's nothing else to say about it. Otherwise, this is, you shake it off, and it was a bad 1 week, but it's Mark Andrews. You don't worry about him long term. He's going to get his targets. He's gonna have some big games. This just happened to be a dud that he put up, and hopefully it does not cost you a week. We will see. So that was a mistake starting Mark Andrews. It wasn't a mistake, but things went bad. I guess that gets us, though, to rookie mistakes presented by Snickers. It's the time of the week where we take your tweets that you sent us on Twitter at NFL Fantasy, and we decide whether or not it was just look, the process was right and the results were bad, or if you just screwed everything up. NFL expert says benching Jamar Chase. Yeah, that's operator error.
Yeah, I mean, you're an expert. You need to know that you start Jamar Chase every week.
That your handles what separates me. What separates you from your opponent is that you bench Jamar Chase. Look, I can't imagine what was happening in your head that made you think to bench Jamar Chase. He had been big the week before. It's not as though the Falcons are a shutdown defense. I mean, hey, look, if you were telling me, hey, he's going up against, Pat Surtain II or Sauce Gardner, and you were worried, like, I still wouldn't have accepted it, but I'd accept it more than just randomly benching him against the Falcons. I don't know what you're doing here.
I guess the thing is, feel good about Jamar Chase going forward now. He looks like himself again.
Yeah, he looks like himself again. All right, next one. This one comes from Justin. Play Michael Gallup, SMH. I understand the process.
I'll take that L too. I thought Gallup was in play this week.
I understand the process, and I know it wasn't good. I don't think he caught a pass this week.
No,
but
I don't think so.
Dak is back. They're going to start throwing the football more effectively, more efficiently. Like I said, it was not what we thought offensively yesterday, but it will get better. So I understand why you did that. It just didn't work out. Sorry about your luck on that one. Next one up, Daniel started Dobbs. Got a big 0. All right, I'll raise my hand on this one too because I thought Romeo Dobbs had some sleeper appeal.
Same
for this one.
I think it's time though where he hits the bench.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the Packers wide receivers. The passing game is a mess. Lazard got hurt at some point in that game.
They get the Bills next week.
Yeah.
I think right now it's time to sit. I would sit almost all your Packers.
Was it Samori Toure? Did I get that right, Randy? Samori Toure came in and got a target.
He didn't leave the field, according to Next Gen Stats. Like, he was just on the field a whole bunch yesterday, and I'm like, what are we doing?
So I'm guessing, because we do a segment now on Fantasy Live called the Cardio King of the Week, and I think Romeo Dobbs is very much in the running for the Cardio King of the Week. All right, one last one. This one from Flash1414, sitting ETN. Again, this feels like operator error.
Yeah, like I know you were high on ETN. I was high on ETN. And I think ETN is a guy that you start and don't think twice about moving forward.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess I have to see who else was on your roster before I completely, castigate you for this.
Yeah.
But sitting ETN seems like a bad idea. So I'm going to chalk this one up to operator error for you on that one. So there you go. Those are the mistakes that were made. Hopefully you have learned from them and you get better heading into next week. It's time for us to take another break. When we come back, we're going to go stock up, stock down on some players who made some moves over the weekend. We'll let you know who that is next on the NFL Fantasy Football Show. NFL Plus is the league's new exclusive video streaming subscription service. NFL Plus has your game day covered with live, local, and primetime regular season and postseason games right on your phone or tablet. NFL Plus is available in the NFL app and at NFL.com. Subscription plans start at just $4.99 per month. Fans can visit plus.nfl.com and sign up for a free trial of NFL Plus today. Time for a round of stock up and stock down, and let's start with the good. Who was good? Whose stock is moving up this week?
I know he played on Thursday night, but I want to just highlight DeAndre Hopkins. Like, he had such a good return. He in week 7 leads all players in team target share and team air yard share. And what I like is half of his routes, or just under half, came from the slot. So they're moving him around. And I know a lot of the Rondell bros out there are like, well, Rondell Moore can't run out wide and can operate in the slot. And I'm like, well, they're not building their offense around Rondell Moore. They're building it around DeAndre Hopkins. So putting him in positions to succeed. I know we were somewhat concerned about him after his down season last year, but if he's getting used like this, I think he can very much so be the DeAndre Hopkins of old.
And people drafted him late and held on to him, hoping that when he comes back, that adds a boost to your lineup. At least through 1 week, that seems to be the case. And now you may have a very stacked wide receiver group. Talked about Juju Smith-Schuster earlier in the show, and he very much is on the rise. And just at the point when we were starting to get a little irritated and frustrated and wondering whether or not we should be moving on from Juju, he puts together back-to-back solid weeks. You see that there, the 7 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown against the 49ers. And maybe it is just a reminder that we shouldn't judge right away. And sometimes you get guys in new situations and new offenses, it takes them a little bit of time to sort of get going, and this seems to be the case with Juju. And so maybe this gives us a little bit more excitement going forward. They are on a bye this week, so you won't get to take advantage of it in Week 8, but it also means one more week for them to just work and get that timing down even better. So.
Yeah, and maybe you try to trade for him now.
Yeah, maybe try to make a move for him now. Who else has their stock going up?
This is going a little bit deeper, but Greg Dulcich, the tight end for the Denver Broncos, I think he is someone that is clearly trending in the right direction. He missed the first 5 weeks of the season, debuted last week on Monday Night Football, scored a touchdown from Russell Wilson, and then with no Russ this past week, 9 targets, 6 catches, 51 yards, and only Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton were the only other players that had 9 or more targets. No one else had more than 3 on Denver. So, again, not, a household name or anything like that, but he's a tight end. So if you're in need of streaming tight ends moving forward, maybe instead of Kyle Pitts, he is another option.
I was going to say Kyle Pitts or Greg Dulcich. That's a legitimate question.
Honestly, right now, it hurts me to say I don't see how you can start Kyle Pitts.
It's not startable. Greg Dulcich might be your guy. Let's flip over to the stock downs right now, and James Robinson is one. I thought maybe this week he had some sleeper potential. I felt like in a game that I thought was going to be close, you'd see more Robinson. Not the case at all. 0 carries, 1 target. He did not catch it, did not record a single fantasy point for you. Then afterwards, Doug Peterson says that Robinson has been dealing with some soreness in his knee, that they really just sort of wanted to keep him fresh. On top of it, Travis Etienne has just been playing so well right now that it's hard to get him off the field. Yes, I know he's turned the ball over. He's made some mistakes, but on the whole, Etienne is playing really well, earning a lot more opportunity. You can't drop James Robinson just because we've seen running backs go down with injuries and somebody else step into the void. So Robinson's not droppable, but right now, definitely not startable. Who else has you worried at the moment?
Justin Herbert. And I know people might be like, what? Justin Herbert scored 18 fantasy points this week. But for me, watching Justin Herbert struggle in garbage time to reach 18 fantasy points against the team that had been allowing the most production to quarterbacks is very concerning. I don't think Justin Herbert is going to live up anywhere close to the expectations that he had coming into the year. And right now, he's averaging just 6.7 air yards per target. That's ahead of only Baker, Kyler, Aaron Rodgers, Stafford, Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, and Daniel Jones. I know that's not like the bottom 10 in the league, but these are quarterbacks that we expected Justin Herbert to be way better than and airing the ball out downfield. I think part of it is his ribs. Part of it is something we talk about a lot, the lack of speed on this offense. But right now, watching that game last night, I came away very discouraged about Justin Herbert.
The last few weeks, I think, have really started to put a spotlight on that Charger passing game, that there really isn't a downfield element to it, which gets me to my stock down, and you talked about it earlier. It's Tom Brady. And there is more of a downfield passing game there in Tampa, but it's certainly not consistent. You pointed out the fact that Brady may be losing his fastball a little bit. It's an offensive line that has sort of been rebuilt because of injuries and retirements to other places. Brady himself maybe just not being as consistent. Like I said, just one game with more than 1 touchdown pass. Did not have a touchdown pass at all on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. And he's really struggling to get you more than 15 fantasy points. I think he only has 2 games with more than 15 points so far this season. So, look, he's been around forever. You got to believe at some point maybe he figures things out, but it's getting harder to start Tom Brady on a week-to-week basis. We'll help you with your waiver wire claims. That's coming up after the break. Stick around as we help you refresh your lineup on the NFL Fantasy Football Show. It's time for Refresh Your Lineup, presented by Subway. Let's take a look at your top waiver wire targets heading into Week 8. Who's on your list, Florio?
Daniel Jones is my top quarterback. Spoke about him at the top of the show. I think you definitely want him on your roster. Marcus Mariota, just because if you need a streaming quarterback next week, he does give you some stuff with his legs. I think both of the Carolina running backs are in play this week. I would prefer Deontay Foreman, though. Gus Edwards would be my top running back to add unless Michael Carter is available in your league. And then some deeper names, Latavius Murray, who just keeps getting work, and Rachaad White played more snaps yesterday than he had been. So just another name there to get on your roster just in case he could do more with the work going forward. And then some receivers. Paris Campbell, he has been getting a lot of work. I think we can officially say he is a thing in that offense. Tyler Boyd had a really big game, and the Bengals are looking really good. Wan'Dale Robinson, healthy, and the Giants' top target. Marquise Goodwin, just in case DK Metcalf misses time, he did play well yesterday. And then a couple of tight ends. Jawan Johnson had a big game on Sunday night. He's been more utilized as of late. Same thing with Cade Otton with Cameron Brate hurt. Otton has been getting a lot of offense.
If you get points for backflips, Marquise Goodwin gives you a whole lot in that category. If you want more in-depth analysis on some of the waiver wire options, go check out Matt Okada's column. You can find that every week at NFL.com/waiverwire. Let's talk about some of the names on that list, though. Gus Edwards, we talked about him earlier in the show, the fact that he got so much work so soon after coming back from injury. Can we officially say he is the RB1 now in Baltimore?
I think so. I mean, Kenyon Drake was very ineffective yesterday. I'll take that L. I was on the Kenyon Drake chain. I just didn't expect Gus Edwards to be this used his first game since 2020. 16 carries. He played most of the snaps, like you said. Even had a target. And what I liked was they didn't shy away from using him at the goal line. To me, it seems like it's all systems go with Gus Edwards. And right now, again, I said it earlier, I don't think he's a league winner per se, but he certainly could take your team from being like a fringe contender to a championship contender.
I think all of a sudden, if you're able to get him, and he was widely available in NFL.com leagues, you're talking about a solid RB2 that just shows up in your lineup. And if you're waiting for somebody else to get healthy or start performing, then that just adds some depth to your running back group. Speaking of adding depth, we spent last week, everybody asking, is it Chuba Hubbard or Deontay Foreman? And we were like, nah. It turns out the answer is both. So, yeah, I know you said, though, Deontay Foreman is probably your choice between the two guys there in Carolina.
Yeah, he played 54% of the snaps, 15 carries, 2 targets, compared to Hubbard's 46% snaps, 9 carries, 3 targets. At halftime, Hubbard was actually getting more carries, while Foreman had more targets. I thought it would flip. Foreman is clearly the running back that they trust when they have a lead. And Hubbard, I know he's dealing with the little knee thing right now, but that being said, Marcus, I know next week they get the Falcons. I think Deontay Foreman is definitely a good streaming option, but I still think I'm looking to sell high. I don't know what kind of magic happened yesterday in Tampa, but I don't think that this team is suddenly better at running the ball without Christian McCaffrey.
That's my thing, too, that it looked good, and the numbers were certainly good for both those players. This felt like something freaky happened. This was a Freaky Friday sort of situation, and you got good numbers out of both of them. I don't think you can count on that going forward. This is still an offense that's really flawed. They still have Baker Mayfield at quarterback. They're down. I mean, DJ Moore actually scored a touchdown, which was really encouraging to see, but it just felt like this was something that I don't know that they can repeat. But, again, if you need running back help, it's worth putting in a claim for one or both of Hubbard or Foreman this week. You talk about Paris Campbell, and I know you were big on Alec Pierce. I liked what Alec Pierce has been doing. It felt like this was an Alec Pierce week. Turned out, surprise, it's Paris Campbell. It has been Paris Campbell the last couple of weeks for Indy.
Yeah, when he had 11 targets last week, we were like, that's not going to sustain. He hasn't had more than 4 in a game all year. And then he has more this week with 12. He had 12 targets, 10 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Has now scored a touchdown in 2 straight games. What I love is he's not leaving the field. According to Pro Football Reference, he's played at least 98% of the snaps in the last 2 games. And yes, they use him in the short to intermediate part of the field at times, which is where Matt Ryan can really excel. But they use him as an extension of the run game. And like you see right here, like I always say, if you're a running back, Matt Ryan will throw you the ball. They're using Paris Campbell like that. He's getting the ball open in space. I think at this point, we need to admit that like Paris Campbell is a thing.
And maybe this is, again, we talked about it with Juju, right? It takes a few weeks for new quarterbacks and new receivers to sort of get on the same page. Maybe this is it. Paris Campbell in, I think, his 4th year, the 4th-year breakout, now several weeks connected with Matt Ryan. So maybe things are starting to turn there for him. That
Colts O-line has been anything but what they were the last couple of years. So Ryan is just looking to get rid of the ball.
Just got to get rid of the ball, man. I'm tired of getting hit. Daniel Jones. Credit Mr. Dimes for coming through and playing some good football. Did that on Sunday. Had over 100 rushing yards. So we talk about mobility. He was showing that off, but throwing the football as well. And people are starting to wonder if maybe this is the Brian Daboll influence. We saw what he did for Josh Allen. Maybe he's doing the same thing for Daniel Jones. I know you said he's not a QB1. He's still a QB2, but he's a solid QB2 right now.
I think, like a high-end QB2. He's a top 15 quarterback on the year. Might even be top 12 now at this point after this week. But he's giving you points with his legs, and the thing is he's taking care of the ball. I think that's the biggest influence from Brian Daboll is, like, Patrick Claybon tweeted it yesterday. It was like that Daniel Jones interception that you keep waiting on. It's not coming this year.
Right. It's not coming. The interception's not coming. The fumbles aren't coming. They've got him kind of turning a corner right now. Very interesting to see. So if you're adding players, chances are you've got to drop some players. And for you, who are a couple guys that can probably be put back in the pool right now?
Kenyon Drake, I was high on him after the best running back game for a Raven in probably over a full year, and it just led to nothing. Like, Gus Edwards was back, and Kenyon Drake was back to being that secondary running back, so I think you could get rid of him. And then Bobby Trees, man, he's shown some flashes this year, but he's never really been consistently someone that we can trust. Now Ryan Tannehill is banged up. I want no part of that Titans passing game.
Yeah, it's a rough go down there in Tennessee, so Robert Woods probably not worth holding on to. I'd say the same for Hunter Renfrow for the Las Vegas Raiders. And this was a concern of mine coming into the season with Devontae Adams there, knowing that Darren Waller was still going to be there. I know he didn't play, but still being on the roster and taking targets. And then Mac Hollins showing up kind of out of nowhere to get a whole lot of opportunities. Hunter Renfrow is not going to – he's not a big touchdown guy. He's not a big-time yardage guy. He's not a downfield threat. So he gets his points in PPR leagues by kind of loading up on targets and loading up on catches. That's not happening this year. So you look at his line, I mean, it's 8 points, it's 9 points. It's all very mid, and the ceiling is not high enough for you to believe that you can just plug him in there and gets a lot of numbers. The other guy is Chase Edmonds, because Raheem Mostert really has completed the takeover of this backfield. It was noticeable on Sunday night how many targets Raheem Mostert was getting as well. It's one thing for him to get the carries. He's getting targets. He's getting targets near the goal line. They're using him kind of as a short yardage pass catcher too. So it just feels like Chase Edmonds not going to get enough of anything in that Miami offense to be worth keeping on your fantasy roster. So we talk about guys who might be moving up and down on and off rosters. We talking about some guys who should be getting some movement there on the digital side in the Madden game. We got our Madden Movers next on the NFL Fantasy Football Show. Wrapping up the show with our Madden Movers, our weekly look at guys who we didn't get a chance to appreciate during the show and wanted to give them some love here at the end. So the folks at EA, just take our advice. These are some guys that we think deserve a boost in the Madden game. Who's the first one for you?
Austin Eckler, the air guitar king himself, because right now he's rated an 87. Ezekiel Elliott is ranked higher. I don't know what's going on here. Austin Eckler is not only just the RB1, there's no other running back within 30 fantasy points of him. He has 175 points on the year. No other running back even has over 141.
Remember those first 3 games when he didn't score touchdowns that people were worried about Austin Eckler?
The best piece in fantasy moving forward.
Absolutely he is. I'm going to go with Juwan Johnson, and I liked him as a sleeper last week. Didn't think he would give you a couple of touchdowns like he did against the Arizona Cardinals. We know the tight end position is sort of raggedy right now, but Juwan Johnson, a nice streaming piece, potentially in play again this week for New Orleans. 5 catches, 32 yards, and look, he's a 71 overall. I'm not asking for a big bump, but maybe, a point here for Juwan Johnson after what he did. Who else deserves some Madden love?
Josh Jacobs, who's an over 86 overall right now. The dude has just gone out in top 30 fantasy points in 3 straight games. I mean, at this point, it's no longer a question of is he an RB1? It's just a question of how many running backs are we actually going to put ahead of Josh Jacobs? I
said yesterday, I don't guarantee he's going to score you 30 points. Maybe I should have just guaranteed because it seems to be a lock for Josh Jacobs the last few weeks. My last one is Tyler Boyd, and he always seems to be the forgotten piece. I keep saying he's sort of like Toy Story, where he was Woody, and then Buzz Lightyear shows up in the form of Jamar Chase, and we sort of forget about Woody. But Woody came back to play this past week against the Atlanta Falcons, 155 yards and a touchdown. And just a reminder that Tyler Boyd is still a good football player, and we want the folks at EA and Madden to remember that as well. So those were our Madden Movers for Week 7. Week 7 wraps up, of course, tonight with Monday Night Football, the Patriots and the Bears. So we'll have more to say about that as we get later on in the week. And a reminder that we get 5 days worth of podcast stuff in your feeds, whether it's this show, whether it's the Q&A show on Tuesdays and Fridays, whether it's the Stardom Sit 'em show on Thursdays. As long as you subscribe to one of these shows, you'll get all 5 of them in your podcast feed. You can also check it out on the Fantasy app, the NFL channel, and youtube.com/NFL Fantasy Football. In the meantime, for us, that is it. We are done. We appreciate you hanging out with the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Subway. Try the Subway Series menu, your pick of 12 irresistible subs. Rate, you know the drill. Rate, review, and remember, if at first you don't succeed, I'd avoid skydiving. Be safe, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.